guys, Coach Ben here, bigbenchas.com. Today we are talking about how to bench 500 pounds. All right, this is no easy feat. To highlight how hard this can be, and this is for the powerlifting population, let alone those doing it in a commercial gym, all right, that have no plans to compete. 500 pounds is no easy feat. We are getting up there into some truly high upper ranks, all right, for a raw bench. Obviously at the higher levels, a lot of people have bench 500 plus and beyond, but when we're talking about the general population, less than 1% of lifters that competed last year in 2019 hit a 500 plus pound bench. Less than 1%, all right? So I think the true statistic is 0.8% of lifters, power lifters competitively, benched less than 500 or benched more than 500 plus. All right, 529 lifters overall bench 500 plus in 2019. Seems like a big number, but we have about 32 something thousand lifters who competed last year. All right, so 529 all of a sudden isn't such a big number. Now, what is one of the most common themes to benching 500 pounds? You gotta be a big fish. You gotta be a big cat, all right? You can't be a small person and bench that much weight. It just doesn't go hand in hand. To show you that, only one person in a 165 pound division benched 500 pounds last year. That accounts for, out of the 529, 0.2% of those who benched 500 pounds. At 181, 5 people. So if you could bench 500 pounds at just 181 pounds body weight, and most of these people are cutting weight from about 200 pounds sometimes, all right, 5 people, you would already be in the top 5. 198, only 11 people. So if you're under 200 pounds, and again, some people cut down under 220 pounds, right, you're already just about in the top 10 if you could bench 500 pounds. All right, moving on, 220, we start to get more people who can bench 500. It's not an easy feat. Only 7.9% of those at 220 actually bench this weight. Sorry, so if you're under about that 230 pound mark, all right, you have less than a 10% here, pretty much, who have been benching, under 11% who could bench 500 pounds. So you're asking to be in a very high up territory. So ask yourself right now, am I under 230? And do I want to achieve that goal of benching 500 pounds? That is a very hard thing to do. You're going to want to get your body weight up. All right, at 242, we get more, 89, 275. This class, because aesthetics does play a big role in powerlifting nowadays, people want to look leaner. 275 is where a lot of lifters settle in. So we get a lot of results here. 172 of those benchers were in the 275 pound class. 308, 121, and super heavy 127. So you can see the bulk of those who bench 500 pounds are 275 pound class and above. All right, and a lot of lifters cut down too. Not super heavy, but some lifters will cut down these weight classes, so factor in they're even bigger usually. Okay, so point in case, if you want to bench 500 pounds, one of the biggest things you're going to have to keep in mind is how big are you, how much extra weight are you carrying. Mass does move mass. It is easier to hit these bigger weights when you are bigger yourself. If you're trying to bench 500 pounds at the lighter weight classes, it is very, very difficult to do. So you're going to want to gain size first and foremost. So obviously gaining size, super important. We just highlighted that. Limited by your weak point. All right, so when you're getting up to that higher up weights, all right, benching, I relate lifting any lift to a jigsaw puzzle. All right, so you know when you have a good chunk of the puzzle figured out, you got the corner pieces, you got everything mixing together, right, and you got this other chunk, and you're only missing 1 or 2 pieces to put half the puzzle together. All right, you have this massive accumulation you can put together with just a few single pieces. Okay, that is benching at a high level. That's training at a high level. All right, you're always that one single piece away from making a huge gain. All right, and you never know. It's that picture of the guy chipping away in the cave, and he's got gold like a couple inches away, but he's been chipping away for miles and miles. But he doesn't know he's only 2 inches away from gold, okay? That's benching at a high level. You're always that one strike away, that one exercise away for making huge gains. So you're only as strong as your weak point. So you got to keep that in mind. You could be capable of benching 500 pounds right now, but if you're stuck at 450, there may be that one weak link that's holding you back. So identifying that and understanding that you're very close to where you want to go, just keep chipping away. All right, that's very important to keep in mind. More frequent intensity. All right, so you're going to want to work at higher levels of intensity a little more often. Okay, so you can't just continue to bench low intensity for a lot of volume all the time. You're going to need to get that weight in your hands. It's a significant amount of weight. You're going to want to feel it more often. I relate this to when I'm benching in the shirt. If we're getting in the 800 pound range, right? I want to feel that weight more often, because if I spend a good chunk of time only benching through 400 pounds, once I get to that 800 pounds, it's very different feel, and benching at that higher intensity commands a lot more technical precision. So you are going to have to get that weight in your hands more often. You want to bench a certain number, what I say is to often try to do that number more often to some types of overloads. So whether you bench it to boards, whether you just hold the weight, whether you press it off pins, you do something to get that weight in your hands so you can feel it and get that stimulus. Major attention to recovery. Obviously, the heavier you're going with your weight, the more weight you have on the bar, higher intensity, you got to pay attention to recovery, because it's going to beat you up more. Not even just physically, but in terms of nervous system fatigue, adrenal fatigue, you're going to want to recover from that. So you're going to have to sometimes leave more time for recovery. So one session, very high intensity, when you're getting up to 500 pounds, that could take a lot out of you. So sometimes you're not going to be able to just jump back 2 days later and start benching again, especially at a high intensity. So you really have to pay attention. How are you recovering? What are you doing to help recovery? Or are you getting routine massage? Or are you taking advantage of things like cryotherapy? Are you getting enough sleep? Is your nutrition good? Everything that could potentially affect your recovery. Majority of your training volume should be spent on your main movement and or your secondary movement. Okay, not to say that accessories don't matter, they certainly do, especially when breaking through that weak point. But if you want to be a good bencher at 500 pounds, you got to bench more. All right, plain and simple. You need to be very direct with your training. You're going to want to spend the majority of your training volume around bench pressing. Okay, accessories, important to get in there, especially bringing up weak points. Like I said, don't leave them out, but especially at this high level, you need to be benching. That's got to be the majority of your volume. Flawless technique. Now this is going to apply a lot more to those benching, trying to bench 500 at a lighter weight. Okay, your technique's going to have to be flawless, because you don't have the mass in order to push that weight. You're not going to be a super heavyweight lifter who can just chuck that thing off from like it's 300 pounds. All right, the lighter you are trying to go for these bigger goals, your technique has to be flawless. That bar always has to be in the perfect bar path, and you need to have a ton of activation underneath that barbell. All right, and then coaching would be advised. All right, don't try to go on to these big goals alone. Get help. Those who seek out to help, not only in their training, but their nutrition, their recovery. If you have a coach in each one of those realms who specialize in each one of those things, that is going to help you get to that level quicker. Instead of trying to do it yourself, getting frustrated, spinning your wheels, not having anyone to bounce ideas off of. Coaching is highly advised for this. Majority of athletes who I get that come to me are right around probably in that 400 pounds range. They get stuck there. I say majority of the general population ends up, the training population, powerlifters, gets to around that 400 mark, and they have a really hard time progressing beyond that. Okay, so that's usually where most people will come into me, is around that 400 pound mark, looking to make more progress, looking to get to 500 pounds. So it's really critical that you reach out beforehand, because most of those that have reached out are just sick of spinning their wheels. All right, and it happens very quick. You need a little bit more direction, structure, and someone to bounce ideas off of. So coaching is very advised towards getting to that higher up level. All right, guys, so all of these, think of it as a roadmap to get to that 500 pounds. Some quick tips here if you're not already doing this. And again, gaining size. If you want to move this type of weight, I encourage you, don't be afraid to get bigger. Don't be afraid to get a little excess padding on you. You ain't going to be super lean, benching 500 pounds. That rarely gonna happen. If you wanna get to this goal, add a little mass. You can always take it back later, but it requires you being a big person, all right? That's it, guys. Benching 500 pounds, how to. You know where to find me. You can meet me on a bench. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel over here. Check out the links in the description box below. You can see a video related on this topic right here, and then our latest video right there. Thanks for watching.